Welcome back to today's build. I'll be your guide to this wonderful game we all love. Let's get started.
Today's deck restocks a familiar toolbox. Its name is Henzie, and this is the box. Henzie lets us blitz in creatures that cost at least 4 mana and gives us a discount when we do. Discounts do the most work when they apply to the smallest thing they can, so we'll favor creatures with mana value 4. Since they're already dying, we'll emphasize creatures with Enter the Battlefield and Death triggers, and since they have haste, we'll also favor creatures that do well in combat. With that decided, the next biggest question that any Henzie deck needs to be able to answer is about what it's doing with its graveyard. It's a creature deck, but unlike a lot of creature decks where we might accumulate a lot of board presence before overwhelming everyone, our board presence hides in our hand and graveyard. Since we're already playing a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects, reanimation is a really tempting way to take advantage of this fact. Another difference between this and typical creature decks is that destruction and subtraction board wipes aren't as bad for us since our board is already going to the graveyard, and Henzie gives greater discounts for each time he's recast, but that discount sees diminishing returns. In order for recasting Henzie to be worth it, we have to make up for the mana spent doing so with this discount, which requires an increasing number of creature casts to pull off. I think this bonus is best seen as a way for Henzie to stay relevant when he's removed, and not as something that we want to lean into by removing him ourselves. Treeshaker Chimera, Woodfall Primus, and Green Warden of Marasa are all much too expensive to be relevant. We're after creatures with mana values as close to 4 as possible, so we'll be making these swaps. Likewise, Itali, Noxious Gearhulk, and Torre aren't doing enough to justify their mana values. It's not unthinkable that we play bigger spells, but you need to be asking what those spells are contributing to your game plan. Itali is just a big value swing, and one that can often whiff. If we're after a removal spell, we can do a lot better than the Gearhulk, and by the time Torre has earned her keep, we're after card draw a lot more than treasures. I think we'll be better off with these cards instead. Doors of Durin, Warstorm Surge, and Industrial Advancement all offer effects that the deck is positioned to capitalize on, but that doesn't mean these effects are actually what we want for the deck. First, these cards are not creatures. They don't fill our graveyard any more than it already would be, or help us dig for our finishers or other effects. And their mana values are just too high for this kind of timeline, so we'll be making these swaps instead. So what do our lands look like? Because of how many cards we draw and how many creatures Henzie burns through, we're incentivized to thin out the deck as much as possible. And a pricier deck would absolutely be looking to run fetch lands. But apart from those, since we've actually got a lot of effects that specifically fetch forests, we're incentivized to run as many forest-type lands as we can. These were the cheapest ones I wanted, but Shocklands would also be a great upgrade. So what's our timeline? The best we're looking for in the early turns is some ramp with deck thinning. Turn 3 is our target for Henzie, but the next turn is where the fun begins. We'll start by driving through our deck and pulling out lands. With the extra mana, we can deploy some incidental disruption, and follow it up with some more enduring board presence from these cards. Next, we'll start digging through the deck with these pieces, making sure we find our critical pieces with Illicit Shipment, and use our stacked graveyard to fuel a blitzed Deathbloom Ritualist, who, with enough creatures in our graveyard, can make infinite life, mana, and card draw with Staff of Domination. After drawing all the creatures we need, we can use Grave Purge to rope in all of our previously spent creatures, as well as potentially protect our bin from interaction earlier in the game, Timeless Witness and Rise of the Witch King. Then, with access to every creature in our deck, we blitz everything all at once and take out everyone. If anything goes wrong with this plan, given how easy it is to disrupt Henzie, we can use Olivia and Breath of Fury as a backup plan for infinite combats. This deck is really easy to get off the ground. The blitzing makes it easy for your opponents to misevaluate threat levels, while the continued card draw makes your most powerful threats very reliable. That said, it's surprising just how many cards shut off Henzie, even incidentally. So the stronger your meta, the more important having solid removal packages becomes.
A very special thanks to all my amazing patrons. When I started this channel, I wanted to talk about deck building decisions with my videos, but in practice what ends up happening is that I talk for 30 minutes about all the nuance of a deck, which is longer than I'm comfortable with posting to YouTube. Here, patrons can request priority deck techs, access extended discussions on their favorite decks, in-depth guides on complex game actions, and more.
So if you enjoy this content, consider becoming a patron today. One of the things my patrons have made possible is a special series of deck techs that I'm really excited to show off to you guys. When I finally get them all uploaded, I'll be giving away a special collection of altars and tokens that I've made, corresponding to each deck on the channel. For example, for the Merkle Lord of Bones deck, the prize is a set of double-faced altars of the most prominent cards in the deck, whose backsides are set in the constellation frame with updated text to show that they're acting as enchantments now. For every 1,000 views on each video, I'll increase the prize pool for that deck. All you have to do to be eligible to win is be subscribed to the channel.
Consider supporting the channel today. If you like this video, here are some of the decks I'm working on next, so if you like what you see, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any, and check out the playlist in the top left for more. Thanks for watching!